Hello everybody, hope you're having fun watching some of my videos and hearing some of my stories from China. Today I thought we'd kind of break away from the city thing, and talk a little bit about the Chinese students learning English. When I came to China, I noticed pretty quickly that they read and write okay, not so bad. Their only real challenge on most of the English are just learning vocabulary, just like me learning Chinese. And, there's lots of vocabulary, always. But me teaching oral English, spoken English, and trying to get the most out of them that I can, where they have good conversation, I saw that there's a challenge there because most of you know everything in China is about passing a test. And, the highest grade, helps the students immeasurably. And listening always seems to be their biggest challenge, because when they read and write and speak, when you learn a language, a lot of times everything's like one word at a time, like, I like you, do you like me? Teacher, the weather is fine today. Stuff like that, wah, 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 wah. And very often there's no music, no cadence, rhythm, or whatever in their speech. My mood music. I gotta get my mood music playing. So that's what they miss. And me as the oral English teacher, at the school, I put it on my responsibility to let them be aware of what we do, the native speaker, because that's their biggest challenge. They spend, the English majors especially, they spend all day learning something about English, and they have their Chinese teachers. And some Chinese teachers have good English, or good enough English. No, I've never met a Chinese national that sounded like an American or a British person. I've just never heard English that good. They still have some of their speech goes back just to their native tongue, and that's what happens in all languages. You can hear a guy from India, know he's from India, or hear somebody from Australia. It's just embedded in them. But anyhow, listening is a huge deal, and after a while, I got to trying to teach the students how to make them aware of what we native speakers do. I tell them what you see is not what you hear, not always, because there's many things that we do to make our speech have flow. Contractions, reductions, linking, the consonant vowel linking that goes on is, if we're speaking full tilt boogie to our colleague, it can lose the students really quick. Just like me listening to two Chinese people really getting in a conversation, I have to really listen to pull out information. I don't have the vocabulary, and they're linking also in their own way. So it's a big issue, and listening is a huge part of their test. In China you have the CET, the College English Test, the TEM, the Test of English Majors, and they all have to wear their earphones and listen and write down and things. So anyhow, I started teaching my students, first with contractions. They all know don't and won't and can't. But when you start throwing in 3 or 4 contractions, maybe in a sentence like we native speakers do, you shouldn't have done that, Father wouldn't have approved, blah, 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 blah. And we start getting these longer contractions in there, and when we say them in conversation, it can lose the student, shouldn't have, should not have, wouldn't have, and you all would have, drives them crazy when they're listening because the pressure that's on them. If I was talking to them individually and using the contraction, they might could understand it better. And things, the reductions, we cheat English so much as native speakers, just so our conversation has a flow, I might say, hey, Pam, did you see them yesterday? I saw them, instead of them. We cheat so bad, oh, pass me the salt and pepper. I need that salt and pepper instead of salt and pepper. See, we omit or shorten or totally sometimes, and it's fine for us, but it can make them go a little crazy because they're hearing grammar mistakes. They're hearing mistakes. They know a lot of rules, so they can kind of tell. And I have to explain to them this is, part of English speech. Did you know? And one I always used to like to do involved reduction and linking. I might start out and I say, this is what gets them. I might say, hey, did you know I am an American? Wah, 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 wah. It sounds unnatural. See, and they may speak to me one word at a time, but that's how they learned English, and then they start learning the little phrases. But when I do it, did you know I am an American? See, we never, as native speakers, we never talk like that. It's like, did you know I'm an American? Yeah. Did you know I'm an American? Yeah. Did you know I'm an American? And in that sentence, when you write it out, you'll see that we got the consonant vowel thing. We got you got the linking. Did you know? Did you know? Now they can figure out lots of that, but if it was in a different kind of sentence, different vocabulary. Ting-ba-dong, ting-ba-dong. Teacher, I don't know what they saying. Ting-ba-dong, Tommy Shoshima. So, did you know I am an American? I used to take my telephone and stopwatch, and I go, did you know I am an American? Click, and it'd be like 4.5 seconds or something. Then I would speak natural. Click. Did you know I'm an American? Click. It'd be like 2 seconds. Then, so contractions, reductions, linking, then things, also with linking. Now, I used to show them in easy language like, I would like to eat an orange. Wah, 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 wah. I would like to eat an orange. Now, they know what I'm talking about because it's a simple vocabulary word. But when we speak to each other, it's like an orange. An orange. I want an orange. See, instead of an orange. Or like, give me the third apple. Okay? So, give me the third apple. But when we are in conversation, it's third apple. Third apple. You hear this T-H-I-R, third, then dapple. Third apple. Third apple. And that's also a speech rule. That's what we do. And if the vocabulary was harder, again, the student might go, Timudong, or first apple. I want the first apple. But when we say it, first apple, F-I-R-S-T-A-P-P, first apple. But that's how we talk. Then you get into, in China, almost all their dictionaries are British. And most of their teachers have a British flair to their English. I remember the students, they're watching TV all the time. They're watching American movies. And the English majors often will try to watch the movies maybe without any subtitles. They're trying to improve their listening. So our natural speech, students going, ooh, they're speaking too fast, maybe, or tingle-donga, they don't understand, so they go back and watch it with the subtitles. Hold on, get my music going. So then, like the British English thing, like what we do with T's, for instance, we might say butter, in the English say butter. So they'll actually, in the British English, they actually say the T's, which technically is correct, but for some reason American English we say butter, bitter, batter. So our T's are D's when we have two together. Then you got things like, oh yeah, she is my daughter, instead of daughter. See, the British, it's little things, but it's little things that they notice, It doesn't really matter. Ultimately it's all English, but over there in China, you got to understand, they are battling the British American way. They're trying to listen to a native speaker and understand. That's what makes it's so hard for them to understand the native speaker, is because what they see is not what they hear. So if you're trying to learn another language, like me trying to learn Chinese, you have to think about those poor students over there that are wanting to be teachers and translators and interpreters learning English. It's quite an ordeal, and the competition is fierce also. But anyhow, I hope you learned a little bit today. This video is kind of really for the teachers, or just for the people that are really kind of want to know what's going on over there as far as teaching English. So I hope you have a good day. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, or I'll get you. Okay? Have a good day.